These are our beautiful national parks. More than 84 million acres of the most stunning landscapes that anyone has ever seen in America or even the world. For the benefit and enjoyment of the people has been our purpose of creating national parks. The story of national parks is a story of people from every background. Among them is John Muir, who takes a stand to protect nature and environment against industrialization and refers to as the father of the national parks. On April 21st, 1838, John Muir was born in Dunbar, Scotland. In 1849, Muir's family moved to Wisconsin. Starting in 1861, Muir studied geology and botany at the University of Wisconsin. The same time as industrialization started expanding across America, Muir had a great talent for invention and enjoyed working at factories.
Early in Muir's life, when he was going to the University of Wisconsin, he was actually part of the industrial movement. He worked in factories. He actually was given an opportunity early on in his life to make a lot of money, which he didn't do. In one of those factories, he had an accident where he was nearly blinded. He actually made a commitment that if he ever got his sight back, that he would leave the life of industrialization and money behind, and he would focus his entire life on protecting the outdoors and studying glaciers and mountains and things like that. So he started slowly recovering from his eye injury. He kept his promise to himself.
In August 1867, Muir started a walk to pursue his passion. While in Florida, Muir came across a brochure about Yosemite. He knew it was time to change his journey. In Yosemite, Muir ran a sawmill for James Hutchings, sawing only dead and downed trees. Muir devoted his free time to explore the valley and mountains, inspecting everything. Based on his observation, Muir disputed a theory of Josiah Whitney on how Yosemite had been created. When Muir found a living glacier in 1871, other geologists realized that Muir was right. In 1873, Muir decided to move to Oakland and write something to entice people to look at nature's loveliness. Soon, a series of reports were published.
Back then, it was through writing, books, newspapers. Once he became a voice for the outdoors, he started writing articles for different publications and media outlets throughout the country. His words started really inspiring people, and soon he became a very prominent writer for all of these major publications. Once he started doing that, people started wanting to read more and more of his articles. That's really how he created a platform to really start reaching people, not only in California here, but from all across the country. That's where he really started to influence and inspire people, was through his writings. Once people were introduced to him and understood who he was, he then started inspiring people by taking them out to these places that he loved so much and that he was trying to protect, because he knew that if he could show people firsthand the beauty of these incredible places, that they would also fall in love with them.
In June 1889, editor Robert Johnson brought Muir back to Yosemite. Muir was shocked at the destruction. Giant trees cut down, tunnels carved through big trees, meadows converted into hayfields. Muir's concern was more about industrialization of mining, logging, and dam building that was happening on the natural landscape. People were destroying these places in pursuit of money. That's what really made him stand up to protect the environment forever. Muir and Johnson wanted to make Yosemite into a national park. Soon people were talking about Muir's proposal published in Century magazines. Some agreed with him, others did not. On October 1st, 1890, Yosemite National Park was created. Taking a stand against industrialization, Muir celebrated his first success. Still, California retained control of the valley. Regardless of the first park rangers, the Buffalo Soldiers carrying out mountain patrol in Yosemite, Muir wanted the valley under federal control, as he knew nothing dawable is safe. In May 1892, 27 men joined Muir to form the later named Sierra Club.
He then said, we really need to set up some kind of society in order to protect this land in perpetuity, because the miners and the loggers and the people that want to overgraze it with sheep are going to continue to try to whittle away at it. He was primarily interested in establishing a group that would defend the mountains, but he realized that in order to defend them, they needed to know them. So he wanted to also have this be an outings organization where people would go out and celebrate it. He wanted to explore, enjoy, and protect at originally the mountains of the Sierra Nevada in California. So they would go on outings, but at the same time, they would also examine what the threats were from logging and grazing and mining, and then try to address those and stop people from cutting all the trees or stripping off the hillsides for gold mining.
Not until a decade later, Muir caught his opportunity of a lifetime. In spring 1903, President Roosevelt asked Muir to guide him through Yosemite. It didn't take long for the president to be convinced that the best way to protect the valley was through federal control. On June 11, 1906, Yosemite Valley was taken away from California. Once again, taking a stand for preservation, Muir had his dream come true. Still, Muir had his last battle to fight for, the NHD Valley within Yosemite.
Around 1890, San Francisco was a growing city, and it needed to bring in water from elsewhere, mostly to the mountains in the Sierra Nevada, which are fairly far away, and they wanted to build big projects to pipe water to the city. But one place that they particularly liked, Hetch Hetchy Valley, and it's in Yosemite National Park, and they liked it for a couple reasons. One, it's got a narrow opening, so they can build just a small dam and hold a lot of water. And they also calculated they could generate a lot of hydropower, a lot of electricity as the water was moving towards San Francisco. So they would get both water and power. And at the time, national parks were new. People didn't really understand them. They just said, okay, we want to build it there anyway. It's not that important a place.
Muir believed that allowing a dam in Hetch Hetchy would set a dangerous precedent for the future. He started writing letters and articles to publications. Many women groups supported Muir too.
Back then, women weren't even able to vote, and they didn't have a lot of the rights. But Muir had engaged with a lot of the newly formed women groups. So there were over 100 women groups throughout the country, not just California, but all throughout the country, who were fighting to protect the Hetch Hetchy Valley. So he was engaging all of these different people, these organizations, groups, politicians, and he was kind of bringing them all together for this one fight to protect the Hetch Hetchy from being destroyed.
On April 18, 1906, an earthquake shook San Francisco, killing many people and igniting fires. The city claimed that a lack of water was to blame for.
When the fire started, there was plenty of water in the reservoirs south of San Francisco in what's called San Mateo County. What happened was that the earthquake cracked the pipes that brought the water into San Francisco. And so when the firemen went to put on the hoses, there was no water. But it wasn't caused by lack of water.
President Roosevelt and President Taft both supported Muir, disagreeing with the city and its dam supporters, Gifford Pinchot and Franklin Lane. However, in December 1913, new President Wilson authorized the dam. Feeling a great loss of the valley, a year later, Muir died on Christmas Eve at age 76.
They managed to get authority to go and dam the valley. And then once that happened, we moved on to other battles, but we wanted to make sure that never happened again to any other national park. So we managed to stop dams in Glacier National Park, stop dams in the Olympic National Park, stop dams in the Grand Canyon, stop dams in Dinosaur National Monument. So in that sense, we learned from our loss about how to do a better job of protecting the parks.
Muir's battle raised public awareness about preserving nature and helped justify the creation of the National Park Service. Stephen Mather, an industrialist and also a conservationist, was the founding director. Dedicated park rangers started working in national parks. In 2016, the agency celebrated its 100th anniversary. Taking a lifelong stand against industrialization's destruction of nature and environment, John Muir had reminded us that our national parks have always been subject to attack by despoiling gain seekers and mischief makers of every degree. eagerly trying to make everything immediately and selfishly commercial. This will go on as part of the universal battle between right and wrong. John Muir.